It's the last day of a big, stressful project. You finish up and you go home, you're relaxing, eating dinner. It's about 7 p.m. at night and your phone buzzes. You look down and it's a text from the homeowner. It says, hey, overall looks good, but could you stop by tomorrow? There's just a few concerns that I have. You get that sinking feeling in your stomach and you don't sleep as well that night. You walk in the next day and there's pink little sticky notes and they're all over your work. And it's not just one or two. There's 30 of them. They're everywhere. You have discovered the law of never-ending complaints. This is where if you make one mistake on the project, the customer then says to themselves, hey, I want to be efficient. I wouldn't want to have to call the guy back more than one time for him to fix things. So let me just get out my magnifying glass, get down on my hands and knees and really just get close to see what the problems are in this work that he did for me. And in doing so, another sticky note. Another sticky note. And they're probably going to do the same thing after you fix the fixes. They're going to find more things. And that's because they've learned if they really inspect your work, they can find problems with it. Guys, my name's David Kelly with Lumberjack Hardwood in Southwest Michigan. We do custom flooring and millwork. We did about $750K in revenue last year with over $100K in net profit. And the best part about it is the business is self-managed. I don't have to work if I don't want to. This channel is to help you do the same thing. In this video, I'm going to help you stop customer complaints because they are what make our lives miserable. To summarize the law of never-ending complaints, it is after you've given the customer one thing to complain about, they will find endless more things to complain about because you have opened that door in their mind. So the goal is to never open the door. Now, this is not always going to be able to be done, but we can prevent the majority of our customers' complaints. To prevent a complaint, we have to know what it's going to be on the front end. So if you're brand new to business, good luck. You might want to go ask a pro. But if you've been in business a little while, you know what the common complaints from your customers are. I can't speak for every industry. I can only speak for like the flooring and trim we do. I'll tell you what ours are, and maybe you can get some green lights going off in your head saying, yeah, I know what mine are too. So for us, it's mostly has to do with prep, cleanup, and damage during the job. Right? So, oh, there's dust on my cabinets. Or, oh, you guys dinged up the walls where you were putting in these massive flooring planks. How dare you hit our walls with those? Now we need to hire a painter. Or it's our baseboards have stain on them. All right? All things that maybe you would feel embarrassed to admit on the internet, but they're just real parts of construction and working in people's homes. So what we really have with these different items is we have an expectation problem. The customer thought we were going to come in and we were just going to do absolutely beautiful work. We were going to clean up perfectly well. We were going to prep for 5 hours. We weren't going to damage anything. And if we did, we were going to just repaint the whole thing and leave it perfect. Well, we would love to do that, right? But many customers don't have the budget for that type of quote. Hopefully you've determined an hourly rate for your shop. For us, that's $100 an hour right now. So any prep work, any cleanup, any fixes that I know are going to be a part of the project, I'm going to include those in my quote at $100 an hour to fix them. Now, many people don't want to pay $100 an hour to have you clean up when you're done. Many people don't want to pay you $100 an hour to put plastic over their cabinets before they begin. All right, these are the things that a premium service would offer, but many people do not want to pay for them. But if you don't provide them, they will complain. And that's where what they expect is this, but what you're providing is actually down here. So what we have to do is take the expectation up here, and we have to lower that expectation down to reality. Now, that may sound like we're pretty much telling them, oh, it's not going to be that nice. Yeah, it's really just not going to be that. Well, let me tell you. We all know that if we go in and say, yeah, we're not going to do that nice of a job, we're not going to get the job. We have to make our customers excited in order to get them to buy from us, and we have to tell them how awesome our service is. So how can we work around? Well, we are going to play chess with our customers' minds, and it's not in a manipulative way. It's simply seeing the expectation problem that's going on. It's saying they think it's going to be like this when we're done. But if we tell them what it's going to be like ahead of time before we even have the job, all right, then their expectations are lowered and everybody else doing it this way anyways. The only difference is other companies are just dealing with the complaints on the back end. So if we get out there and tell them, hey, this is actually how it works in our industry, and we just want you to know that even if you go with another company, these are the problems you're going to run into. We have not only distinguished ourselves as being the most trustworthy and transparent, we have now taken their expectations and we have set them to reality. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how we do this. This is something that I have been perfecting since day one in my business, and it is the only way that I am able to excel in a detailed business like luxury flooring and millwork. This setting of expectations has 4 steps to it, all right? Let's start with step 1, video, pre-job. So you know the things that you get complaints about, all right? It's what you deal with every single day, okay? So the first thing that's going to happen is a customer calls you or you get a lead form, however it is, and you get on the phone to schedule that. On that phone call, what we're going to say to these people is like, hey, we do this a lot, so we have a great understanding of what leads to you guys getting an awesome outcome. We want you to have an awesome outcome, whether it's us that you hire or whether it's somebody else, all right? So we've put together a video that contains all of the need-to-know information. And within this video, I am both selling our company and I'm setting expectations. So in this video, I'm going to have all of the good things about our company that we do that are awesome, but I'm also going to have all the points of frustration covered in there. So the things I mentioned earlier about beating up the trim or dinging the drywall or leaving dust on things. And I'm going to explain to them how we would love to provide them that premium service, but it's okay for them to say, hey, we don't want you to cover the cabinets and clean up really well when you're done because we don't want to pay $100 an hour for that. We would rather do it ourselves. That's fine with us, all right? So on this initial call, we're going to ask them to watch this video that is setting expectations and pre-selling our company. Most people will agree to it, and if people aren't watching it, they probably won't hire you. So you can even set crazier things in place like, hey, I'm going to call you the day of and see if you've watched the video to make sure we can still continue with our appointment. Everyone will watch it. If they won't watch it, they're just shopping on price. You don't want their business anyways. Drop them. This now brings me to the estimate itself. At the estimate, all of the things we talked about in this video, we're now going to go over them, but our customer already knows what they are. So they're educated. I'm not hitting them with surprises. I'm not making this an unpleasant encounter where I say, hey, by the way, we're going to screw up a lot of your house and you're going to have to hire a painter when we're done because we're sloppy, we do horrible work. That's what they're going to hear, even though it's like, yeah, well, we're using big machines and sometimes things get bumped into. They're going to hear the negative of that a lot of times, all right? So at the estimate, they already have an idea and we're just going to go over with them different things in there and find out what they want to pay for and what they don't. And we're going to pitch this in packages. So we're going to have a package that contains all of the bells and whistles that should, in theory, prevent just about every single complaint that would come. So it's going to have all the prep work. It's going to have all the cleanup work. Any auxiliary services that would help them to have a better time, they should be included in this package. So for us, that's like we're going to do new trim for you so that there's no damage to your trim when we leave, all right? But we're also going to offer them a package where they don't have to pay for all that stuff. So if they do just want a good job, but they don't want all the extra bells and whistles billed at $100 an hour, they can do that. Now we've made that their fault. It's their fault now because they didn't pay for the extras if they're upset about it later. And so we've told them once, we've talked to them about it a second time, said, hey, these are the things we went over. Which do you want to pay for? They can ask their questions here. This brings us to the job. Let's say we close the job. On that first day of the job, my guys are going to come in and they're going to have a checklist of things to talk to the customer about. Because just because you told somebody something 1, 2 times doesn't mean they've heard it yet. So we're going to tell them another time. So my guys are going to arrive in there. They're going to pull out a checklist and they're going to say, hey, so it looks like you did not opt for this package. So just a heads up, you know, there's going to be damage to the trim. There's going to be dust on your counters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now I've told them a third time. And also, this gives me an awesome, awesome opportunity right here. That says upsells, if you can read it. Now's another chance to sell them on these same services that they've opted out of beforehand. And a lot of times it works. You know, they've heard about a couple times and they've already agreed to spend one time. So if they spent, you know, let's say $8,000, they agreed to that price. Well, what's another $500 to have you run some new quarter round or whatever it is? So we find at this part in the process that they're often primed and ready to spend a little bit more extra money to get those bells and whistles so that there's no extra work for them, so that they have nothing to complain about. But be prepared. If you do sell them on an ultimate job that's got all the bells and whistles, this has got to be like a no complaints package. So you have to deliver. You have to really give them nothing to complain about. A really good company oftentimes has the best foresight on the things that customers are going to be upset over. So if we've sold them on all the things we can sell them on, we still have to keep in mind the things that are just unchangeable. Now that we've gotten through upsells, I'm actually going to add one category here. And this is going to really depend on the type of construction that you're in, but during job. And you could even do post job as well. If you're doing real big projects, you need to do post job as well. Because anytime a customer finds something that they're not sure about, they're going to go to the internet. And I'm going to guarantee you just about whatever it is, they'll be able to find somebody on Reddit that agrees with them. Yeah, your contractor is a real hack. He's a real sleazeball. You should fire him. You should probably write him a 1-star review, fire him, and take him to court. All right? We've got to avoid this, all right? So we always have to be on the front end of telling our customers about problems. So we've done it all on the front end of the job. Now, during the job, we have to keep doing it, all right? So if, for us, sanding a floor, I see an ugly board or a cracked board, I need to tell the customer, like, hey, we found this stuff in the floor, and it's not included in the original quote. Would you like us to fix it or not? All right? Again, I'm always putting the ball back into the customer's court and saying, hey, if you're willing to spend a little bit of extra money, then I can do this for you, but it's not included in the quote. Now, if I skip over that ugly cracked board in the refinishing process and then they walk through it and say, what is this? I'm on the hook for that, all right? And it's not because I was getting paid for it, but it's because I should have told them, all right? I'm the doctor, I'm the expert. I'm the person who has to have the foresight to see what the problems are and help the customer avoid them. This brings me to our last line of defense. And when I say last line, I truly mean last line. If you're having to say to somebody, it's in the terms of service, you screwed up, all right? Or they're just hard to work with person, all right? It's not always your fault, but a lot of times it is. You don't want to be beating people over the head with the terms of service. Now, just to preface this, none of this is legal advice, but I do seek legal advice, and here's what I have been told. These don't have to be attached to your estimate in a way that's like, stapled to the back. It just needs to say at the bottom, subject to terms of service and where they can be viewed at. All right, that's how ours are. They click a link and they're viewable. Inside of these terms of service, where I've put everything I've talked to them about, I'm also going to go one step further for when I have to deal with crazies, all right? This is going to put the inspection standards, the standards to which my work will be done. So for me, that's NWFA standards, and my floors can be inspected in regular lighting, all right? Not special lighting, all right? And they can be inspected from 5 feet up, so about eye height for a short guy like me, and 2 feet back. This is not something I ever want to have to be telling people, but I kid you not, one time I did a staircase for a lady, and she wasn't a bad lady, all right? I don't think she'll see this, but I'm talking about her a little bit. She was not happy with us, all right? And honestly, this was earlier in my business, and the work we did was just not that great sometimes, and we would just slide things along that probably should be redone. This job started out as a 6 out of 10. It wasn't good, and we came in, we fixed it, we brought it up to probably an 8.5 out of 10, which I want to be at 9 and a 10 above, but 8.5 is passable, all right? Well, this lady got out a painting inspection light and got within 6 inches, I'm not kidding, 6 inches, and literally sat there for a couple hours inspecting the staircase and, what do you know, putting the sticky notes on it, all right? This is when you have to have those. For people like this, you have to say, hey, we're only going to fix things that are within the inspection standards. But you do need to follow these as a contractor. Now, some things are going to fall outside this. And if that's the case, defer to the customer, all right? The courts are going to defer to the customer from what I understand, so you need to defer to them. And take good care of your people, and hopefully you will never have to beat them over the head with the terms of service to win. Because they can always get online and write you a nice 1-star review on your Google or Yelp profile. So do these things, guys, and you will avoid 99% of customer complaints, all right? Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you'll probably like the one popping up on your screen right now, so watch it too.